One day, Hamza discovered the monk
I have worked directly with Hamza on Adonis
and made him a
School.
teacher in his paid community, Adonis School. Though Bante would sometimes disagree with Hamza's stances, he was perfect because unlike most monks, Bante was willing to do anything, even if it meant using Gen Z brain rot slang
Hey there, young skinny souls.
to attract a younger audience.
The tale of the Adonis Monk is one of the most inspiring stories you'll ever hear. How an American man in his 20s gave up all of his possessions and became a Buddhist monk in order to save the lives of many. But there's also a very evil story here. How a monk that preached so much about generosity has ended up allegedly scamming his own followers for donations and being involved in multiple scandals. There are very few monks with as many horror stories and frustrated supporters as the Adonis Monk. This is also a story about how the Adonis Monk faced a rise of people going against him, was claimed to have created multiple accounts to troll his haters, telling people to kill themselves, purposely broke the monk rules, and on multiple occasions criticized Hamza himself. And yet despite all this controversy surrounding Hamza's Adonis Monk, tens of thousands of people show love and support to the Adonis Monk every single day. That even includes me. So it's time we delve into the truth. Welcome to the fascinating true story of Hamza's Adonis Monk.
Took young, together with everything, not about...
The Adonis monk, Bante Verapanyo, had a rough childhood. Born in 1993, he grew up in the USA in a broken home, where his parents divorced very early and his life was hard. As a young adult, Bante struggled with mental health issues like anxiety or depression. He didn't have a strong community, and because of that, he turned to drugs and alcohol. But it was in this difficult time that Bante first discovered the teachings of the Buddha. He happened to come across a Zen Buddhist temple, and struggling with the mental issues that he has, he decided to stay there for a 1-year intensive training practice program. Little did he know that this single experience would one day help him lead the life of a monk. But you see, even though Bante had everything that he ever wanted, he still wasn't fulfilled. So after some more programs and retreats, Bante gave away his possessions, job, housing, and even his relationship. In a Vietnamese Tien monastery, he was first given the name Chan Dao. But you see, on Wikipedia, Bante remembered seeing a list of Buddhist countries, and one of them was Thailand. And at the young age of 25, Bante was set to move to Thailand and become a monk. He reached out to a variety of monks in the area through Facebook, telling them about his dreams. But although they were kind and supportive, they refused to tell Bante more about life as a monk. Instead, they wanted him to come to Thailand, see it for himself. It was a big risk, but Bante was determined, and so he saved up enough money and booked a flight to Bangkok. In the city, Bante met with 3 monks, one of them being a Pali scholar who stayed at a royal temple. So Bante went to the royal temple and interviewed the monk. Eventually, he started to meditate seriously under the monk's guidance and memorize scripts to prepare for ordination. Bante was finally becoming a monk, but there was one problem. He felt that his teacher, Ajahn Jack, wasn't in a position to train him. So one day, when there was a foreign monk in Chile coming to the area, Bante wanted to go with him instead and look for other temples. And surprisingly, Ajahn Jack gave Bante his full support. And during his search, Bante would discover his next mentor, Myanmar teacher Sayadaw Ashen Tamasara.
Eyes gently. Release.
Now living with a new mentor, Bante posted a video on YouTube titled Welcome to Monk Life. He was now a wandering monk, traveling to places like Myanmar, India, and Malaysia to spread the teachings of the Buddha with his mentor. He even started his own Discord server where he shared guided meditations and preached the teachings. One day, Hamza discovered the monk
I have worked directly with Hamza on Adonis
and made
School.
him a teacher in his paid community, Adonis School. Though Bante would sometimes disagree with Hamza's stances,
You don't need to be Hamza. You don't need to be a millionaire. You just need to be you.
he was perfect because unlike most monks, Bante was willing to do anything, even if it meant using Gen Z brain rot slang
Hey there, young skinny souls.
to attract a younger audience. He used Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, and other social media platforms as instruments to spread the teachings. Bro even started to go on podcasts with famous YouTubers.
We're going to be hosting a debate between a rabbi and a monk. Do you guys believe that Hero Brian is real?
I think that the brine of heroes and the brine of goodness is something
That's not what
extremely
I'm
valuable.
Things were going well. Tabarwa Center, his Buddhist group, was able to help out tens of thousands of people worldwide. But success didn't come without a cost. And for Bante, that cost would manifest in a huge wave of allegations. Sometime between 2022 to 2023, a Redditor by the name of UltraStoked100 expressed suspicion on Bante's legitimacy as a monk. In the comments, somebody named Optimistically Eyed would reply, "I can't speak to who Bante Verapanyo is now, since I've had less than zero interest in listening to him. What I can say is that just a couple years ago, immediately prior to presenting himself as a monk, he was an absolute nightmare among a number of Buddhist Discord channels. He was making claims of awakening, harassing moderators, being banned from channels and rejoining them under new names in order to advertise his own Discord, where he was selling his services as a teacher, and was a generally awful person at every turn. I wish I still had the gifs of him shirtless, clutching wads of money and screaming obscenities at moderators." And another post would surface on the r/Zen Buddhism subreddit made by the username Jindo Kohen. Who is the real Bante Verapanyo? Just a personal note, he blocked me as soon as I began to inquire of his credentials, allegations about his fundraising and such. Apparently, this is what he does from what I am seeing on various places of social media. Somebody would then reply, "He is very well known for being the biggest hole in existence. He used to claim authority over the teachings, and whenever he was quizzed or pushed back, he'd have a literal mental breakdown. He'd tell people to kill themselves. He would make alt accounts he'd use to support his own opinions. He'd mail the mods really nasty for not supporting him. List goes on. I'm pretty sure this whole thing is a grift for him, as evidenced by the constant social media presence he's tried to maintain as of late, and him directing money for his supposed charity for the center to his personal bank account. Either way, he's truly not mentally well based on interactions I've unfortunately had with him years back." Titan Roll says, "If he's ordained as a monk, how can he fundraise? I thought the Vinaya didn't allow this." The Adonis Monk was getting attacked all over Buddhist subreddits, but Bante would remain silent. That is, until this post. Posted by Bante himself. "Hello, maybe I'm not a teacher, but I am a Buddhist monk for 5 years. Ask me anything about Zen and Buddhism." The following exchange will follow. Now, I won't go over this in full detail, I'll only list the key points, but if you want to, I invite you to pause the video. Jindo Kohen asked him, "Why are you still here in the discussion when it has been shown to the mods 5 different ways that you are likely a scammer?" A few messages later, and this now deleted comment would surface. "I do agree with calling out a fake bhikkhu." He's talking about Bante. "The person faking this should be really careful, as this is extremely bad karma." Bante would reply, "And if you are a serious Buddhist and you think that someone is a bad monk or something, or goodness gracious, a fake monk, you should contact a senior bhikkhu/monk, and you should talk to them about it." It took me a few minutes to research that you are associated with making claims of attainment, associated for obscure answers or for not giving answers, and some seemingly being opposite to the teachings of the Buddha in the Theravada tradition, associated with banning individuals who have brought up details in regards of multiple instances of potentially bad conduct. I repeat, do not look to live the easy life on other people's dime, especially if you're not going to pursue the traditional teaching. You are not representing yourself well from what I have seen in your posts. You need to show some humility, which should be basic for a monk, and realize that you are doing harm. Potentially not as educated in the teachings as you think you are. The monk would reply, "You may not want to hear me speak like this, which is okay, but that's how I feel. I'm empowered to teach by my teacher and by many Buddhist teachers that have been in the game, so to speak, for a very long time. See, I am a well-known person. I run the largest Buddhist Discord server. I've stayed at many monasteries and done many intensive meditation retreats. Now you may see these words that I just wrote and then say, oh my gosh, look at you. You're trying to prove yourself or you have so much pride, but actually, I'm just talking about my own experiences in this situation. I'm sorry, but it's not very convincing to take Reddit comments or text comments that someone gives and then arbitrarily assign complete and total value to them in terms of who they are as a person, and basically throw out all of the hundreds of hours of audio, video content of them with community, and say, all of this is nonsense and doesn't really mean anything. The only thing that means something is my perception of a few Reddit comments that that person is making that are in response to what is possibly malicious slander. I'm not saying it necessarily is, but it certainly is possible. There are a lot of people overcoming their lives by greed, anger, and delusion, and they're often open to be aggressive towards people that they don't understand or that for whatever reason they don't like. And I'm not a Buddha, so naturally there are many blameful qualities that I have. I myself have opinions in this matter, but before I share them with you, let's look a little deeper at this situation. After Bante received the intense backlash of many members in the Buddhist community, he decided to close down his Discord server and reflect on the actions that he's been taking.
I did close down the Discord server because I put myself out there so much, and I tried to be very accessible and work with a lot of people, as many as I can. Some people may get the wrong idea about what I am doing as a monk, and maybe give the perception that I am kind of doing social media work or trying to build a following.
In fact, in 2024, Bante posted a video titled, "I'm sorry." He expressed regret for his mistakes on his path as a monk and said that he's trying his best to walk the path step by step, breath by breath.
I've made a lot of mistakes, and a big realization is that I've taken on a lot more than I've had the ability to handle in terms of being a spiritual leader, a spiritual teacher, running a community, putting myself out there, being vulnerable with so many people online to share my experience. And is there some aspect of, wanting attention? Well, yeah, because I'm a human being, and certainly there's a little boy in me that never had enough attention, and I do want to apologize for the mistakes that I've made. It's really easy to get the wrong perception or the misunderstanding about me, about who I am, and especially what my life is like as a monk. I haven't done a good enough job of representing that.
So here's my opinion on the issue. Personally, when I first saw Bante giving lectures on Hamza's Discord server, I was deeply touched by what he was teaching. I even started to practice the teachings of Buddhism myself. And ever since I started practicing, I can say that I've truly found inner peace and started to enjoy every moment of life just as it is, fully and happily. I genuinely believe that coming across Buddhism turned what was to be many more years of addiction and suffering into a life worth living for me. And for that, I am eternally grateful to Bante. The Buddha said, "Do not believe in anything simply because it is spoken and rumored by many. So even if others speak ill of Bante, I'll be sure to keep an open mind, to question what they say, and to reflect on my experiences with a monk." In my experience, I've never once seen Bante commit any of these atrocious acts. And even if he did, the Buddha taught boundless love to all beings. He said, "Monks, even if bandits were to savagely sever you limb by limb with a double-handed saw, even then, whoever of you harbors ill will at heart would not be upholding of my teaching." And of course, I'll still remain cautious of Bante as I would for any other person. But if a teaching of his works for me and is aligned with the teachings of the Buddha, I won't be hesitant to practice it. From Bante's story, I learned the lesson of keeping an open mind, because Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh taught that much of the world's suffering comes from wrong perceptions and a closed mind. So instead of filling my mind with beliefs, ideas, notions, likes, dislikes, I find that just living leads to greater peace. Just being, just experiencing what is. Life is not an idea or a concept. Life is what it is right now, in the moment. No words, no thoughts, just. However, if you want to know more about the relationship of Hamza and Bante, you're gonna want to go watch this video about Hamza Ahmed. Just trust me on this one. You've never heard a story quite like this. Just click the thumbnail on screen to go watch that video right now. I hope you enjoyed the story of Bante, and I'll see you over in the next video in just a second. As always, live in the now, because tomorrow may never come.